bright summer and save 40% off every program, including Turbo 13. Lose up to 13 pounds and 7 inches overall in your first month. Lose weight fast. Money back guaranteed.
I'm Marie and I lost 50 pounds with Nutrisystem.
I am so much healthier now.
Nutrisystem delivers your favorite foods made healthier, perfectly portioned to fuel and satisfy.
Count, measure, meetings, not with Nutrisystem.
Order your 28-day program right now, and we'll rush you Turbo 13 with the new Turbo Takeoff Week with new foods. Plus, a week of probiotic and delicious Turbo Shakes free to shrink your belly and lose weight fast.
You'll see results your very first week.
For a limited time, save 40% off every program.
Nutrisystem works.
Do it. Do it now. Don't wait.
Go online or call 888-915-THIN and get shakes free plus 40% off every program.
A hunt for clues after a man opened fire at a video game tournament in Jacksonville.
According to one witness, the motive here was that this guy lost, and then his losing turned to fury, and he started shooting.
Remembering John McCain, a brand new push to honor the late senator and American war hero.
On Wednesday, his casket will be brought to the state capitol building, where he will lie in state for public viewing.
Tropical storm Lane leaving Hawaii underwater. Dozens of people forced to evacuate their homes as officials warn of life-threatening flash flooding.
There's Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Is she the next Barack Obama?
She is like Barack Obama. She plays fast and loose with the facts.
The U.S. and Mexico could reach a new deal on NAFTA as soon as today.
We're going to either make it good or we're not going to have it.
He's the President of the United States, and you have to respect the office.
Do you have anything more broadly to say about the state, I guess, the discourse of race relations?
No, I just finished 72 holes and really hungry.
And that's right, I feel good today. Can't nobody bring me down, and I just got paid.
Right, I mean, you got to think about it. Tiger Woods had a fantastic comeback season, and they're trying to, in that press conference, rope him into politics, and he's not going to do it.
Right,
he actually likes the president, and he knows him as a person, as a businessman. They both love golf. One owns golf courses. They both live in Florida.
And so they were trying to pin him down. Your relationship with Donald Trump, is it professional because he's in the golf world, or is it personal because he's your friend? And Tiger did not take the bait. We're going to play that soundbite for you a little bit.
I think a lot of Americans are going to like his response because it's pretty fair. It's pretty fair.
Speaking of fair, Rachel joins us today here on the Fair and Balanced Morning Show. It's good to have you.
Thanks for having me on.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Listen, I'm a team player. Not a good tennis player, as you saw from out there, but I am a team player.
That was 12 miles per hour.
Yeah, so bad. I told you I was a much better cheerleader than athlete. I should have been on the outside of the net.
All right. Meanwhile, we've got a Fox News alert on this Monday morning. That's searching for clues spanning more than 750 miles up the East Coast after a man opens fire at a video game tournament yesterday in Jacksonville, Florida.
Heavily armed agents raiding the suspect's home in Baltimore overnight. The 24-year-old is accused of killing 2 and injuring nearly a dozen before turning the gun on himself.
And there he is. You see him pictured there. Phil Keating is live at the scene in Jacksonville with the very latest. Phil, what's up?
Well, the Good Luck Have Fun gaming bar behind me here at the very popular entertainment spot known as Jacksonville Landing on the St. Johns River. That is where all of it broke out yesterday, right around 1:30 in the afternoon. Take a listen.
Got a lot of good games going on.
It's a lot. It's going to be hard to get them on stream. It's a lot.
It's not a tough out today. Excuse me, not an easy out.
Now, those are the sounds of the gunshots. This was being broadcast via a live stream on the internet, according to the announcer of that qualifying tournament for the Madden Championship Series, the winner of which here in Jacksonville would make it to Las Vegas to compete for the $200,000. The announcer said it was 10 to 12 loud pops and that the suspect and the dead man, 24-year-old David Katz, who shot and killed 2 people, according to the sheriff's department, then turned the gun on himself. They say he lost yesterday, left, came back 10 or 15 minutes later, and then started shooting. It was absolutely terrifying, according to witnesses.
People were being trampled. People were hiding. Everybody was screaming in fear.
Now, the 2 dead people that were Part of the gaming brotherhood, the Madden Brotherhood, as the announcer describes it, are Taylor Robertson out of Ballard, West Virginia, and Eli Clayton out of Woodland Hills, California. Police and Sheriff's Department is still investigating this. First responders at the hospital will be hosting a news conference here later this morning, but the official search for a motive, even though some witnesses said his motive was because he lost, that's still under investigation.
It is. All right, Phil, thank you very much. Phil, I was reading in the Jacksonville newspaper this morning that apparently that particular mall is a gun-free zone. Even if you have a concealed carry permit, there are signs that say you can't bring anything in. The only people who are allowed in with a gun, law enforcement.
And there have been a couple of shootings in the past, over the past 5 or 6 years, one of which happened on a Martin Luther King Jr. Day weekend, which police attributed to ongoing gang activity. But there is normally security at these regional tournaments, according to the announcer. He said yesterday there was no security.
Thank you, Phil. Well, we've got Pam Bondi, Florida Attorney General, live in about 15 minutes, so stay close. We're going to get more details.
All right, meanwhile, some encouraging news about trade. We know that we're at loggerheads with China. We know with the European Union we seem to be on the right track. What about redoing NAFTA? Instead of going to Canada first, as many predicted, the president's going to Mexico. Mexico just had an election, so we have an outgoing government and an incoming government. Together, they're on the same page, get this, and they're working with our guys, Robert Lighthizer reportedly leading our trade team, and we are closing in as soon as today on updating NAFTA, which is 24 years old.
That's right. The president is hopeful. He tweeted this out yesterday. Our relationship with Mexico is getting closer by the hour. Some really good people within both the new and old government, and all working together closely. A big trade agreement with Mexico could be happening soon. It could happen as early as today. Keep in mind, the President of the United States, Donald Trump, said he would withdraw the United States from NAFTA officially unless the United States got a better deal.
So he tweeted about it, but he also had this to say about the NAFTA deal.
People forget NAFTA was a disaster. I mean, does anybody remember? They emptied out entire states. You go up to New England, you go up to parts of Ohio and other places, and you'll see factories that, left many years ago because of NAFTA. It's a terrible deal. We're going to either make it good or we're not going to have it. And we're getting very close to getting something, I think, that's going to be very fair.
They say there's a breakthrough on energy, there's a breakthrough on automobiles, and there's a breakthrough on wages. So they met yesterday. That's how serious they are. They met on Sunday.
I really believe that this deal is much more important than I think the media is giving him credit for. This
shocking.
But honestly, this is what he ran on. He said, elect me. I know I don't have any experience in the political world, but I'm a deal maker. Right. And you guys have been taken to the cleaners on these trade deals, and I can make them better. This is a deal, by the way, a renegotiation. It's a 20-year-old NAFTA deal. It would not be renegotiated right now if not for Donald Trump. He actually put this idea on the agenda. He said, let me renegotiate these deals, make it better for America, put American workers first. And by the way, we've been talking about how the Democrats have taken their eye off the ball. They used to be the party of the working class, of the manufacturing base, of the Rust Belt. This is why Donald Trump's stealing it.
Unions
He's
are happy
stealing this, yes.
Sure. This is different, though, than it was first negotiated because it was the United States and Canada and Mexico all at the table. Right now, Canada left the table. They said, you know what, this deal is not good for us, so we're gone. So the United States has been working with Mexico, and apparently we are really close to a deal. We're not getting everything we want. Mexico's not getting really anything, everything that they want as well. But they've come to some sort of agreement, and now the thinking is, okay, now it'll be 2-on-1. Hey, right. Canada, we got a good deal over here. Do you want a little of this? Right. Come on.
So one of the first African-Americans, prominent African-Americans that said, I'm friend of President Trump, was Dennis Rodman, believe it or not. You saw it in North Korea when he came out. And then Tiger Woods is somebody else who you just saw about 6 months ago. I think he was golfing with the president. And then he was asked yesterday at the end of this really the end of the season, getting ready for the Ryder Cup, somebody said, hey, what do you think of President Trump? I noticed you guys seem to have a relationship. Listen to Tiger Woods not leave his friend in the gutter. Watch.
He's the president of the United States, and you have to respect the office. And no matter who's in the office, you may dislike personality or the politics. but we all must respect the office.
Do you have anything more broadly to say about the state, I guess, the discourse of race relations?
No, I just finished 72 holes and really hungry.
Now, keep in mind the President of the United States and Tiger Woods played golf. I believe it was last Thanksgiving. Dustin Johnson was also there. So they were trying to figure out what kind of a relationship do you have with the president? Is it personal, your friends, or is it professional because he's in the golf business and he's the President of the United States? And he wouldn't take the bait.
And the strategy on the left is to ask these, whether it's Kanye West or Tiger Woods, to ask these people to try and shame them into somehow throwing the president under the bus, or if they say, hey, yeah, and they stand with him and say, he is my friend, again, to attack them. And I think this was a very good response on the part of Tiger Woods. He's like, I'm not going to throw my friend under the bus. He's the president, and we should all have respect for the office.
Jim Brown was seen, you see him in the 60s with Cassius Clay / Muhammad Ali. You see him with Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain. You see him doing a lot of things when in America in the 1960s, where you go down south, you couldn't use certain water fountains, had to sit in the back of the bus. He's done a lot of great things. Famously, when Syracuse went down south to play, they said, okay, black players got to stay in a different hotel. The whole team ended up staying with Jim Brown and others. So he is not a stranger to fighting for civil rights and trying to make America a better place. And he has no problem telling this generation, you do what you want, but I back this president. Watch.
I find myself really pulling for the president. Now, that will make me very unpopular in the black community, very unpopular with a lot of Americans. But I think that there are certain good things that are coming out of this presidency because we've never seen anything like it.
He's also adapting a lot of Jim Brown's programs, the American program. Darrell Scott will talk about that. Teaching, going to these communities, urban communities, and teaching them life skills, things to get them out instead of just handing out.
But he's talking about the results of the policies of the president, not necessarily the personality. And I think ultimately the American people, if they see enough of these celebrities come forward, I think that the rank and file minorities especially say, gosh, my life's a little bit better because jobs are back or whatever it is. So I think that this is an important step.
So what do you think about Tiger Woods' comments? You can email us, you can tweet us, and we're on Facebook all day long. We read them all day long.
I remember when Bobby Knight was at the peak of his controversy with the way what he did to his son and different things in practice. He always said, he goes, if I had a son looking to play basketball, I want him to play for Bobby Knight because I like the types of values that he teaches. Bobby Knight actually is a big supporter of President Trump. I'm not sure if there's a linkage there.
We'll just say there is, Brian. All right, we're going to turn to your headlines first. We're learning more about the services for Arizona Senator John McCain, who died at the age of 81. Wednesday, the maverick of the Senate will lie in state at the Arizona Capitol. A service will then be held Thursday in Phoenix. Friday, McCain will lie in state at the U.S. Capitol. A national memorial service is set for Saturday at the Washington National Cathedral. Senator McCain will be buried Sunday at the U.S. Naval Academy. We'll have a live report from Phoenix coming up on that later this hour. And a Fox News alert. Iran says it has taken control of the Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz. The Iranians blocking the major shipping route as tensions rise with the United States. Iran test-fired a ballistic missile in that area earlier this month. Tropical storm Lane leaving Hawaii underwater. The Big Island slammed with more than 4 feet of rain and dozens of landslides, one of them pushing a giant boulder onto a busy highway. Dozens of people forced to evacuate amid life-threatening flash flooding. Thousands are without power. And those are your headlines.
Some spots of Hawaii got 4 feet of rain. Wow.
It's incredible.
Incredible. That is a lot.
All right, 12 minutes now after the hour. Coming up straight ahead, Alan Dershowitz, if I'm reading the rundown right, is coming up live. We've been promising him the whole show.
I think he's going to be there because we've got that big graphic. And over a year ago, Andrew Cuomo made this promise to New Yorkers.
We should have free public college for people $125,000 and below.
Sounds pretty for sure, right? So then why are so many people getting rejected? We got that coming up.
Things I never had. Buy everything. I wanna be on the cover of Forbes magazine, smiling next to open.
Everybody wanna make a toast.
family, and to my son. Rick, I owe all this to you. It's fragile, family, and I don't want it to come apart. Let's not break this, Rick. America's the future. It's our future.
See a little blood when you brush or floss? You may have gum disease and could be on a journey to much worse. Try Parodontax toothpaste. It's 3 times more effective at removing plaque, the main cause of bleeding gums. Leave bleeding gums behind with Parodontax toothpaste.
Let's do an ad of a man eating free waffles at Comfort Inn. They taste like victory because he always gets the lowest price on our rooms guaranteed when he books direct at choicehotels.com.
Or just say bada book, bada boom.
Book now at choicehotels.com.
I love you, Dad.
A what? A what? I found myself saying that all the time. And when I realized it, I just stopped saying it. And my life changed. I stayed home, mostly alone. I missed out on everything. I knew that I needed hearing aids, but the cost was ridiculous. A tiny hearing aid costs $3,000, $5,000, whatever they can get. It's just ridiculous. Well, not anymore. Thanks to Hearing Assist, I can hear clearly again, and my life is so much better. I got a pair of rechargeable, state-of-the-art digital hearing aids for about 10 times less than my doctor wanted to charge. You can't see them, and I never have to change the batteries because they're rechargeable. And right now, you can buy 2 Recharge hearing aids and have 60 days to try them. Call 800-501-1000 or visit hearingassist.com.
This is not a bed. It's a revolution in sleep. The new Sleep Number 360 Smart Bed is on sale now from $8.99 during Sleep Number's biggest sale of the year. It senses your movement and automatically adjusts to keep you both comfortable. It even helps with this. So you wake up ready to put your pedal to the metal. And now all beds are on sale. Save 50% on the new Sleep Number 360 Limited Edition Smart Bed, plus 24-month financing on all beds, only for a limited time. Sleep Number, proven quality sleep.
Are you ready, old man? I've been out working you all day.
See your authorized Mahindra dealer to test drive the Retriever 1000.
Imagine getting immediate help with small jobs and chores around your home. Sound impossible? Not with the Tackle app. The Tackle app connects you with background check providers who are standing by to help you with house cleaning, yard work, junk removal, and lots more. All jobs are pre-priced, so there's no appointments, no estimates, no negotiating. You can have someone on the way within an hour to help you tackle your to-do list. Download the Tackle app for free or go to tackle.com. That's Tackle. Leave nothing undone.
Fox News Channel on Sirius XM. Your favorite shows on Channel 114. Plus, every story, every 15 minutes. Fox News headlines 24/7. Channel 115.
Got a lot of good games going on.
It's a lot. It's going to be hard to get them on stream. It's
not
a lot.
It's not a tough out today. Excuse me, not an easy out. Oh.
Fox News alert this morning. Investigators are trying to piece together why a gunman opened fire at a video game tournament in Jacksonville, Florida. Even though the motive is unknown, that's not stopping Democrats from rushing to say gun control could have stopped it. Here to weigh in, Florida Attorney General Pam Bondi. Pam, good morning to you.
Good morning, Steve.
Do we have any idea why this guy started shooting with a real gun after he lost a game?
Well, I think you answered the question. I want to be careful what I say about a pending investigation, of course, but clearly he lost the game. He was angry. There were people there from really all over the country were in that pizza place playing the game that day. It was something going on, all over the country. But people were in that particular spot who weren't Floridians when this horrible, horrible outburst happened.
And this 24-year-old, apparently a resident of Baltimore, Maryland, and I understand the authorities have searched his house, are in the process of searching his house as well. But, it was shocking because so many people play games like this. not very often, or occasionally under one roof, but usually, I believe, something like this is played remotely, where you could be sitting there in Florida playing with somebody in New York, like me right now.
Yes. Yes, and I have friends' kids who play different games, but all of these games, parents need to be really careful in general on all of these games because predators can find you based on location services. So please, parents, any of these games these kids are playing, check location services. I know Minecraft, we've talked about that in the past.
Right.
I don't know about Fortnite, but they're playing all over the country. And the scary thing is they could find out where your 13-year-old is sitting at home playing that game.
That's right.
So that's something very important, too, in general, on all of these games.
And if a parent can't figure out how to do it, ask your child who plays the game all the time.
Right.
Take me into settings and show me how to disable that. Pam, let's talk a little bit about how your Attorney General's office does have a victim compensation fund available. And we've put the phone number up right there, 800-226-6667. What is that?
Thank you. And that's run through my office. It's money allocated by our legislature, and it's an incredible fund. And what it does is it helps. We can pay up to $7,500 for funeral expenses, medical bills, depending on the severity of the condition, sometimes up to $10,000, up to $5,000 for counseling for people who weren't physically injured, but people have already personally reached out to me who know people who were inside the establishment. Think about the trauma that they go through. And these folks now are back. A lot of them are back home, thank goodness. They're all over the country. So call that number if you were there, if you need help. Governor Rick Scott was there last night personally helping people. Senator Rubio's office reached out. The White House reached out to us within an hour of it happening, saying, what resources can we do? Florida Department of Law Enforcement, the airlines, everybody was working together.
All right, so if
the Sheriff Mike Nelson was incredible. I mean, Mike Williams and the State Attorney, Melissa Nelson. Everybody was great.
So, Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, thank you very much. I know it's an ongoing investigation. Thanks for telling us what you could. All right.
Thank you.
We're going to step aside. Back in 2 minutes.
This program is brought to you by Thrive, your all-in-one management software built for small business.
I'll shoot you an estimate as soon as I get back to the office.
Hey, I can help you do that right now. Hi, Thrive.
Thrive?
Yep, I'm the all-in-one management software built for small business. Hi, Thrive.
Help me with scheduling?
Sure thing. Up top. Hi, Thrive.
Payments?
Hi, Thrive.
Promotions?
Hi, Thrive.
Email marketing?
Almost there. Hold on. Wait for it. Hi, Thrive.
Manage my customer list?
Can do, will do. Hi, Thrive.
Post on social media?
Hashtag Hi, Thrive, my friend. Get started for free at thrive.com.
When my doctor put me on a cholesterol-lowering statin drug, I knew I should take CoQ10 with it. I take Cunol CoQ10. Why? Because Cunol has 3 times better absorption than regular CoQ10. Cunol, the better CoQ10.
Who wants to eat from a pet bowl that's 100% non-toxic, lead-free, BPA-free? The Pet Comfort Feeding System by WeatherTech. Proudly made in America. Order at petcomfort.com.
Gotcha!
Quick! The Quicker Picker-Upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker and is 2 times more absorbent than the leading ordinary brand. Bounty, the Quicker Picker-Upper.
Are you looking for vacation rentals? Search Home to Go Florida from $49, Home to Go California from $52, Home to Go New York, $59. Home to Go, the world's largest vacation rental search engine.
Home to Go. Are the credit cards in your wallet actually the best ones for you? At NerdWallet, we sort through hundreds of credit cards to find the top cards for travel, balance transfer, and earning rewards. Stop missing out. Visit nerdwallet.com today.
Fox Nation. Find out more at foxnation.com now.
Promote what makes your business great with Vistaprint. Whether it's a business card, a banner, or a postcard, we have the paper stocks, sizes, and design options to create marketing that's right for your business. Give it a try with 500 standard business cards starting at just $9.99 when you use code VP500 at Vistaprint.com.
This isn't a liner. Well, to be clear, it's an invisible aligner from Smile Direct Club. Our aligners take teeth like these and transform them into those. They discreetly take this and turn it into that. We send your aligners directly to you, and in an average of 6 months, you could have a lifetime supply of confidence. Join more than 250,000 satisfied groaners who got a smile they love for only $80 a month at SmileDirectClub.com.
Some quick Monday morning headlines for you. First up, a University of North Carolina board member wants Silent Sam put back up after rioters ripped the statue down.
A statue was torn down by a violent mob, and the police stood by and did nothing as that happened.
That board member saying North Carolina law demands the nearly 105-year-old statue be put back up within 90 days. And a Board of Education chairman resigns after voting against the Pledge of Allegiance. New Hartford, Connecticut chair Josh Adams threw in the towel after colleagues voted to start each meeting with a pledge. You may remember another Connecticut official created controversy for kneeling during the Pledge of Allegiance, famously in Haddam, Connecticut. All right, Brian.
All right, 25 minutes after the hour, college professor touting socialism and the concept of a free society in the New York Times. But how about this for some added irony? The Times article where he writes about socialism, locked behind a paywall. So even the article isn't free. Here with more is on the irony and more is the former press assistant for Senator Rick Santorum, who was senator from Pennsylvania, Lauren DeBellis-Appel. Lauren, first off, did the fact that the commission even came out for a columnist in the New York Times to write this premise bother you?
You know, good morning, Brian. Margaret Thatcher said the problem with socialism is that eventually you run out of other people's money. And these people that are promoting socialism, they act like they're Oprah. They're running around talking about all this free stuff that they're going to give you, but they're not paying for any of it. It falls on the American taxpayer to pay for it all. And if you want to see where socialism leads you, just look at Venezuela. The people of Venezuela, it's very sad right now. It's in utter destruction. They are pouring across the border over into Colombia, in many cases leaving their families behind just to try and make a living and make some money just to survive. And now there are reports that women are joining the sex trade because they feel they're being forced to, just to put food on the table for their kids. This is, and it's very sad right now what's going on over there.
This professor writes this, tweets this out. The New York Times asked me to write a piece on socialism. What socialism means. My answer, the socialist argument against capitalism isn't that it makes us poor,